Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of our Atlanta United Career Mode series here. A little bit of a longer episode because I did want to get a little bit more gameplay into this one. Obviously, only had 2 games going alongside those recap episodes, but today we got 3 games in the episode, and I wanted to talk about kind of the stuff going on at the team, what's going on at the MLS, internationally, and then also wanted to touch on this series kind of. So looking at this team, as you guys know or may know from the last episode, we actually ended up losing Julian Gressel. Sorry, for whatever reason, name just dropped out of my mind. Julian Gressel ended up getting injured for I think a few weeks, so we're going to be without him. So we're going to go ahead and start McCann in the midfield alongside Carmona and move on from there. Believe it or not, this is actually supposed to be Miguel Almiron on the screen right there. I don't know how that face was passed as to be him. If you've ever seen an actual picture of him, doesn't make any sense. It is what it is, though. We'll move forward. This episode, we're going to be playing against Columbus Crew, and you guys will see the next couple games, but definitely want to keep the good form going and try to get a few more wins on the board and see how things go. Talking internationally, I wanted to hit on, what players we're going to be losing during the international break. I don't think we actually have any games going on because of the U.S. men's national team. Greg Garza is going to actually be left off the lineup this time. Not too controversial, except for the fact that I think that basically locks up Fabian Johnson playing left back, which I think he would be better off pushed forward. But I'm sure Bruce Arenas is going to do something decent with the team, and we'll kind of see how things go. This is definitely going to be his first major test back at controlling the team. If he can keep getting us wins, I think he'll stay on as manager. I don't think he'll stay on past the qualifier, though, so we'll kind of see how things go. Maybe he ends up making it to the World Cup. Other players that we're looking at internationally, Almiron did get called up for Paraguay. And Carmona got called up for the Chilean national team. Other than that, you're not really looking at too many players. I believe Brad Guzan was called up, but then ended up dropping out, so they're going to replace him. So it's looking like Tim Howard's probably going to be our keeper again, which is kind of exciting news. Definitely played really well for Colorado at the weekend. So definitely excited to see that. This game coming up this weekend against Chicago Fire, I think could go either really well or kind of badly for us. I don't really see it going horribly wrong. I don't think Chicago's that strong of a team. They definitely have one of the best midfields in the league right now. Kind of us up there. Once we get our chemistry, I think we'll definitely be on the same level as them. But they're definitely a really good team midfield-wise, and they're going to play on the counter-attack a lot like we do, so I think it's going to be a very end-to-end game. I read a couple different places, that scores could end up being anywhere from 4-3 to, whatever. So many goals could be scored, none could be scored at all. So it's kind of just going to be however we can react to playing a different kind of team than we played against NYCFC and obviously Minnesota at the weekend. It's definitely going to be the test. I think this game is going to kind of decide where we actually rank in the MLS and kind of how the season's going to go. I think although Chicago was the worst team in the league last year, they're definitely looking at a top seeding in the East this year. I think the East is going to be really tight, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see where we kind of are compared to everything else. Obviously, there's a lot of games in the season. If we do lose a game, it is what it is. But we definitely need to have a good showing to prove that we are good enough to actually compete with some of the top teams in our division, so our conference. Other than that, kind of getting into this game, the score was 1-1. Off kickoff, managed to pull a couple moves together and get Assad his next goal for the team. I believe that's his second goal for the team. He's definitely a player, low rating, but is playing really well for us. So we're keeping him in the squad as long as possible. Really, I want to try to keep the team as realistic as possible. I want to keep all the players that usually play all the time. So once Gressel's back, I think he'll get back into the team. Here in the 86th minute, they actually managed to grab a counterattack goal and tied it up at 2-2. I wasn't really pushing too far forward, but it was off of an awkward corner that I tried to take, trying to take some more passing short corners because I think it'll work a little bit better with the shorter players in the team, i.e. not when Kenwin's in. Ended up not working out for us. All of our players ended up being forward for some reason, and it just caught us out on the counterattack. So it's going to actually end up happening here too. Again, I was just trying to do stuff with the team, pushing players forward that I shouldn't have, and for whatever reason, after that diving header, it was like I had the ball here, passed it into Carlton. Carlton worked his way into the box, and it just sparked this counterattack that I wasn't ready for. Not enough players were back. You can see the defense pulling closer to put more pressure onto the team, and it just leaves Camera to basically knock that into the back of the net and just burn us for pace. So we actually are going to end up losing this game 3-2 after being 2-1 up with, I think, the better part of 30 minutes left on the clock. Really disappointing game, but it definitely showed the weaknesses in the team and where I kind of need to strengthen, I think, positioning wise. So there's going to be changes with the way the team is lined up. I think it's going to make a big difference, making sure that those players stay back and don't shift too often. It was just kind of weird how he pushed over so far with another defender right there. I don't know if that was more of a fault in the programming for the player in the game, or if it actually was just kind of the way that the team's flowing right now. But nonetheless, we do end up losing that game, and now we're going up against Philadelphia Union, a team that I definitely think that we have the ability to beat pretty handily, again, in my opinion. Other stuff I kind of wanted to talk about in this episode was things that were going on in the comment section of the last video. And stuff like that, I'm talking about the comments that were made. If you guys haven't heard, Joseph actually managed to get an inform for Atlanta United based on his hat-trick performance against Minnesota last week. Definitely well-deserved. And that's going to be our first Atlanta United player in the game. Now we have the Crest in Ultimate Team, and then also Joseph. 81 rated, a little controversial in my opinion, and honestly kind of made me wonder if really they are going through and re-rating a lot of players in the team. I don't know why they would redo the rating for Joseph. I think his 72 that he had, or 73 at his previous club, definitely was pretty telling of the type of player he was. He doesn't take all chances. He plays well. He uses his pace well. But is he higher rating than that? I'm not too sure on that. So I think his rating was pretty good, but it may look like he ends up getting a pretty good boost in his rating if he's 81 inform card. I'm thinking that kind of puts him at lowest probably like a 76. Again, because I just don't think they would give him like an 8 or 9 point rating boost to cover that. So here I was trying to decide what kind of team I wanted to play, because I did get scored on pretty early on in this game, and it made me again look at the defense and realize that there are some problems with the team. So at first I was looking at maybe just trying to change the pressure team with an aggression in the defense, and then I was thinking about it, you know, maybe I should focus just a little bit more on the counter attack like we do in real life, have that defense at 10%, and just kind of work on it that way. I think that's definitely going to be a better way to run the team, and you guys are going to see in this game that it actually ends up working pretty well in my favor. The other thing that was pretty big in the comment section of the last video that I did want to talk about were the crosses. Again, in that last episode, or that last game, I tried to do a little bit more of the short crosses like you do in real life. It is a tactic that is used a little bit in Europe, but not nearly, I think, enough to warrant, I guess, us using it without confusion. The way we're using it, I'm not too sure if it's going to work out, because we're losing possession a lot, and as you saw whenever I tried to use it, it's just kind of how it works. Unless you manage to cross it in like we did near the end of the Minnesota game and get it on the head of Peterson, it doesn't really work out. Arsenal does it quite a bit sometimes, and they try to pass the ball around in the box to try to get a good position, because again, not a lot of players are that tall when Olivier Giroud's not in the team, and it is just better to kind of pass the ball around and see what we can do. As you see here, we actually managed to grab a goal in the 11th minute after turning on the counterattack. I think it was a little too soon to determine whether or not that's because of the change I made in the team, but Almiron manages to grab a pretty good goal here and bring us back level at 1 apiece. Again, I think that the crosses will work in time. It does take a little bit more chemistry to work out the short passes after a cross, because obviously the entire defense is back and it's a good 8 to 9 players that you're trying to beat in the box whenever they're defending a corner. So debatable. I think it is probably better for us to just cross the ball into the box and try to create a little bit of chaos and try to grab a goal that way. Joseph manages to always find his way in positions to do diving headers somehow. He honestly does it better than a lot of people I think I've ever seen. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see how that goes. As you guys see here at halftime, making a couple changes. Wanted to bring Kenwin into the team. I'm going to throw Martinez out on the left because I'm kind of wanting him to grab another goal for himself, but he's not doing too well at striker. So we're going to bring him in, see how we can do. I think it'll help against Philadelphia. Philadelphia, very much a team that defends well in the middle, but I think having Kenwin in there bossing the middle is definitely going to help us out a lot against teams like this. And as you saw, it was just Kenwin's strength, the ability to bring the ball down and then pass that out to Mears, who for some reason was playing at left back and found his way into that side of the field, and ended up finding himself in the box as well and grabbed a goal for us. So a little bit of an odd goal, but it was good to see him grab something. And at this point in the game, I had just brought on Peterson, as you guys see, in the 78th minute. And again, Kenwin just doing nice hold-up play, getting that pass out to Peterson, and he grabs himself a goal. He's turned into a really good super sub, just like I think he will be in real life. But as I did talk about in the last episode, if Tito doesn't start scoring and putting in better performances, again, he's playing decent right now, so there's no reason to pull him, but I think unless he starts playing a lot better, or not a lot better, but better in general, I think Peterson could end up grabbing himself a start here pretty soon. I do think that Carmona's probably going to start over Lorenowitz this weekend, but we shall see on Saturday how that goes. The only other thing I guess I really wanted to talk about mainly in this episode was whether or not Atlanta United's ever going to get added to FIFA 17. Again, I don't see any reason for them not to. MLS has signed a contract with FIFA. They're pretty tight with FIFA. They threw their MLS through a FIFA tournament before the season started. So again, there's really no reason there for contractual issues. The team's already added into the game crest-wise. The only other thing I can see, and I talked about this a little bit in the last episode, was the fact that a lot of these players maybe don't have ratings, or don't have ratings that FIFA seems fit. So maybe they're going through and looking at Almiron, looking at Tito Villalba, looking at Kenwin, bringing him back into the game. Where should they rank him? Obviously, a lot of the youth players we brought in, like Carlton, like Gressel, Walks, players like that. So we're going to see. I think if they do get introduced, the ratings that you see in this team will definitely be different to an extent. I don't think by very much, but I do think Martinez will probably get a rating boost. Like I said, I don't think that they would boost him from a 71, 72 rating to an 81 just because of one inform card against probably the worst team in the MLS currently. No disrespect to them, but they just need to build their team out a little bit more to be competitive. And in this last game for the episode, we're going to be playing against NYCFC one more time. Pretty soon after we had played them the first time, we're going to get another shot at trying to actually grab a goal. But in terms of Atlanta United, I think there's definitely signs that we have to be put in the game here soon. But if it doesn't happen in these next couple weeks, I don't see it happening at all. And we're just going to have to wait till FIFA 18, which isn't that big of a deal, but it is a little disappointing to have to wait that long for a team whenever NYCFC and Orlando were put in the game. Again, it was a different situation dealing with the superstars of David Villa, Pirlo, stuff like that, Kaká obviously. I think it had a little bit more of a draw, and a lot of those players were actually already in the game, so I think it was a little bit easier for them to do. But I don't know if they're having trouble, making the kits for the game and getting those sponsors, which is totally possible. But I don't see that being a problem because it's free promotion to be in FIFA. Well, probably not free, but good promotion to be in FIFA as a kit sponsor, I think, because a lot of people are going to be looking at it. There's no reason in my mind that they can't put them in the game, and them giving Martinez a inform card this week definitely makes me wonder if and when they're going to put them in the game. Realistically, I think we're waiting until FIFA 18 at this point, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed at least for these next couple weeks in hopes that for some reason they were just taking a little too long and are actually going to put them in the game. Talking a little bit to close out this game, Kenwin gets a really good opportunity just running at them in the box. Gets the ball one more time here, gets tackled, and at this point I'm like, all right, we're ending in another 0-0. I can't score against NYCFC for some reason. It's going to end the way it is. Peterson comes in with a massive tackle right there. Kenwin gets the ball, tries to make a shot on keeper, doesn't end up happening. Martinez gets the ball, crosses it in. Again, nothing comes from it. So for some reason, I just cannot break down NYCFC, but Kenwin definitely brings something to the team that makes him very attractive to play right now. So I will probably be keeping him into the game more often, but right here you do see he gets the ball one more time, does a little bit of hold-up play, and gets tackled in the box. So we get a penalty in like it has to be like the 93rd minute at this point, if not like the 94th minute. I think the ref literally had whistle in mouth trying to end this game, but we do end up getting the penalty instead, and a really good opportunity for Kenwin to step up here and grab another goal for the club and give us the win against a very tough opponent in NYCFC. He manages to score that goal, and we do go 1-0 up, and right after kickoff the ref is going to blow this whistle and the game is going to be over. So the super subs are definitely coming in. Massive impact for me right now. I think Joseph needs to step up a little bit in this team. Tito's starting to play a lot better, so I have nothing to say about him. Almiron's playing incredible. Peterson and Kenwin are definitely pushing for starting positions here in the next couple episodes if they keep performing the way they are off the bench. I think counterattack is working really well for us. If you guys have any comments about this video or the game on Saturday, please post them down below. And as always, if you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, I will see you guys later.